I'm just sitting here and I'm like, we just saw this here with Christine Brennan. Christine Brennan, obviously a journalist, nearly 3 days after allegations of racist comments in the Sky Fever game, I'm being told the WNBA has no timeline for completion of its investigation.
Startling developments are erupting in the basketball world. A reliable sports reporter just revealed what seems to be a concerted effort by the WNBA to discredit Caitlin Clark. As a leak of internal documents reveals intentional attempts to discredit the sophomore superstar, top league executives are in a panic. Prepare yourself for the truth. Has the WNBA made its biggest error to date because of its fixation with controlling Clark's story? Whether so, please let us know in the comments whether you need any additional referees. As in, are they?
First of all, again, the Chicago. If this was about something other than this, the Chicago Sky coach made it clear there was no issues in Indiana while he was working there, and he didn't hear anything at the game, and it's all because of stuff on Twitter.
Okay, so the WNBA is currently experiencing a complete collapse. And to be honest, they are entirely to blame. We have an actual, credentialed reporter with sources inside the league office who is exposing what appears to be a concerted attempt to minimize Caitlin Clark's influence on women's basketball. This is not just any random Twitter account with 3 followers and a basketball emoji in their handle.
Like, are they, like, my only logic is that they are hoping that something bad happens during this game tonight so that they can say, well, look, this has happened. This is when we were reporting this whole fan base and something happened tonight.
This is what it is, let's say. The most shameful instance of self-defeating professional sports league in recent history. After decades of fervently pursuing mainstream exposure, the WNBA has finally achieved it. They seem to be responding by undermining the player, who is attracting millions of new fans.
It's fair enough. There's no need to announce you had a review in the first place, though. That's just my opinion. There was no need to go out there and announce that you were reviewing anything because, well, there's just no need. Trying to figure out a world where basically everything is recorded, no sound or video, because nothing happened. And again, I'll always say, yes, some person could have said something in the crowd, but as a crowd, as a whole, as a totality of a crowd, nothing happened.
The now famous probe into alleged racial remarks made during the Indiana Fever versus Chicago Sky game was the catalyst for the whole affair. Do you recall the match where Clark became the first player to record a triple-double? And the Fever destroyed the Sky by 35 points, shattering 11 records in the process. Rather of applauding this outstanding performance, the WNBA opened an investigation based on, wait for it, Twitter posts rather than any supporting documentation, audio recordings, or video footage. Now, USA Today's renowned journalist Christine Brennan has exposed something even more concerning. Her sources claim that shielding athletes from racial abuse was never the goal of the study. Finding something, anything, to divert attention from Clark's commanding performance was the goal. According to Brennan, a senior WNBA executive stated, "Need to find balance in coverage. CC momentum is becoming troublesome for the league narrative in an internal message that was leaked from the league office." Yes, it is what you read. A league official characterizing a player's level of popularity as troublesome. Consider the NBA claiming that LeBron James's fame is detrimental to the league's narrative. The ridiculousness is unimaginable, but it gets worse. Details of a messaging strategy developed weeks prior to the Fever Sky game are included in Brennan's report. This strategy outlines ways to guarantee that all players receive balanced coverage, which may seem reasonable at first glance, but it also outlines ways to restrict stories that are exclusively focused on Clark and divert media attention regardless of on-court performance. This clarifies a lot of the way the league has treated Clark ever since she joined the WNBA. The incessant criticism of her defense, the downplaying of her historic accomplishments, and the strange emphasis on her body language and facial expressions. Random media people with agendas weren't the only ones involved. From within the league itself, there seems to have been a real coordinated strategy. Since this study is the ideal illustration of this tactic, let's take a time to discuss it. The WNBA declared 3 days after it was launched that they had no completion date. Why? Because there is nothing to find, they aren't finding anything. Chicago coach Tyler Marsh, who was formerly with Indiana, made it plain that he did not hear anything improper during the game. Several guests have attested that they didn't hear anything other than typical basketball heckling, a common flight response sound effect that is frequently used in NBA stadiums, including Pacers games, is what they did hear and what others attempted to misrepresent as racist yelling. The sound is a meme. That's all. This whole dispute started because of that. Why, then, is the inquiry still going on? Brennan sources claim that the league is hoping for another development before they are forced to acknowledge the lack of evidence. In actuality, they're waiting for another controversy to eclipse this one. Journalism isn't like that. Players are not being protected by that. Damage control for a self-inflicted wound is what that is. A source close to the WNBA told Brennan, they're trying to figure out how in a world where basically everything is recorded, no sound or video of these alleged comments exists because nothing happened. Yet, the damage has already been done. The mere existence of this investigation has cast a shadow over Indiana's fan base and created a narrative that exists solely on social media, not in reality. As the saying goes, it doesn't matter about the quality of the evidence, only the seriousness of the claim. By launching this investigation based on unsubstantiated Twitter posts, the WNBA legitimized accusations that have no factual basis. They effectively threw an entire fan base under the bus to shift attention away from Clark's historic performance. WNBA staffers expressing concern about the direction the league is taking. One staffer said, "There's internal panic about Clark's popularity, creating a situation where casual fans are only interested in one player. Rather than using that to expand the league as a whole, there is this strange animosity and deliberate attempt to marginalize her." The question is why? Why would a league that has struggled for years with viewership, attendance, and mainstream relevance actively try to diminish their biggest star? The answers revealed in Brennan's reporting are fascinating. First, there's apparently significant concern about competitive balance in media coverage. Some league executives believe that allowing Clark to become the face of the WNBA could alienate other stars and their fan bases. This might make sense in theory, but in practice, it shows a fundamental misunderstanding of how sports marketing works. Every successful sports league has had faces. According to Brennan's sources, certain influential figures within the league's power structure are uncomfortable with the changing demographics of the WNBA fan base. There's genuine concern among some that newer fans coming in through Clark don't fit the right profile. One source told Brennan, instead of seeing new fans as a growth opportunity, they're seen with skepticism. This is arguably the most perplexing element of the whole circumstance. The WNBA has fought for decades to gain media exposure, public recognition, and financial stability. Thanks in large part to Clark's appeal, they now have it, although some league members seem to view this as a challenge rather than an opportunity. Let's make one thing obvious. Caitlin Clark is more than just well-liked. She is giving women's basketball a level of attention never seen before. Record numbers of people watch her games. Arenas are sold out. Products are flying off the shelves. Broadcast rights are being contested by television networks. This is a huge victory for women's sports that deserves to be celebrated. Rather, we receive inquiries based on internal tactics and tweets to restrict coverage of the league's biggest star, which is the height of organizational malfeasance. Examples of how this anti-Clark agenda has appeared throughout Brennan's brief tenure are provided in her report. Internal WNBA communications suggested downplaying her accomplishment rather than celebrating it after she surpassed the NCAA scoring mark by highlighting the fact that she played more games than prior record holders. She caused draft viewing to soar, but instead of recognizing her influence, the message emphasized the strength of the draft class as a whole. It was even more telling when Clark became the fastest rookie in WNBA history to record her first triple-double last season. At first, a totally different statistical accomplishment by another player in the same game was featured on the league's official social media accounts. They didn't appropriately recognize Clark's remarkable performance until after criticism. Brennan's findings is especially damning because it reveals that this goes beyond public relations and social media. It also applies to officiating. Several sources claim that discussions regarding officiating strategies to control Clark's influence on games have taken place. Despite being the most fouled player in college basketball, Clark has received inconsistent officiating throughout her WNBA career, which may be explained by a former referee who told Brennan, "I've never seen anything like it." There are usually conversations about how to officiate certain players. Stars usually get certain calls. Rookies don't get respect yet. That's normal, but I've never heard of a strategy to specifically limit one player's effectiveness or appeal through officiating. She no longer receives the same calls as a pro. She appears to be subjected to a particular kind of physicality than other guards. Naturally, the WNBA has refuted each of these claims. According to their official statement, Brennan's reporting is unfounded and unworthy. Notably, however, they have not responded to any of the particular allegations or provided an explanation for their investigation. The response from basketball fans has been quick and overwhelming, based only on social media posts without any supporting data. People are angry with the WNBA's handling of these incidents on all channels. Many draw attention to the unfair treatment of certain players online, which goes unpunished, whereas unsubstantiated claims made in arenas receive prompt consideration. Others point out that the WNBA is uneasy about its own success, which is part of a pattern. Instead of celebrating development, there seems to be an attempt to stir up controversy whenever viewership increases or new fans become involved with the league. The fact that it overshadows the real basketball game is arguably the most annoying part of the whole affair. There has never been a greater WNBA product. The level of talent has never been higher. More three-point shooting, a quicker tempo, and higher scoring are now features of the game. More than ever, rookies are coming into the league prepared. With better nutrition and training, veterans are prolonging their careers. Caitlin Clark, whose game has changed significantly since her freshman season, is at the heart of this comeback. She has responded to defensive criticism, increased her productivity, and kept creating history with her special combination of playmaking and scoring. She has had an absolutely amazing second campaign. However, the league appears intent on finding ways to downplay these accomplishments rather than appreciating them. There seems to be a concerted attempt to limit Clark's influence rather than use her fame to boost the WNBA as a whole. This strategy is detrimental to all WNBA players, not just Clark. All boats are lifted by rising tides. Because to Clark, more people are watching games and learning about players like Breanna Stewart, Sabrina Ionescu, Angel Reese, Kelsey Plum, A.A. Wilson, and dozens of more amazing athletes. The Indiana Fever games aren't the only thing these new fans watch. They develop an interest in women's basketball. This is supported by the stats. Not just Fever games, but all WNBA broadcasts have increased viewership. Every team has seen an increase in social media involvement. League-wide, merchandise sales have increased. Other players aren't suffering because of Clark's fame. The environment as a whole is benefiting from it. What causes this resistance? According to Brennan's reporting, it may have to do with control. The WNBA functioned in a somewhat small bubble for many years. There was little media attention. Although there weren't many devoted fans, the league had considerable control over its own story. By delivering uncontrollable and undirected mainstream attention, Clark has upended that dynamic. It seems that some league members favored the more intimate, regulated setting of the past. They felt at ease with steady expansion and preserving the status quo. Clark is a symbol of rapid, erratic growth that upends established hierarchies and shifts power balances. In business, this story is as old as time itself. Even when a disruptive development has clear advantages, established interests frequently oppose it. Consider how traditional taxi firms initially opposed ride-sharing applications, or how the music industry opposed streaming. Particularly when it challenges established power systems, change can be frightening. People who oppose change, however, frequently wind up on the wrong side of history. Right now, the WNBA has a fantastic opportunity. Leap on the tsunami of unheard of attention, embrace new supporters, and propel the league to unparalleled heights. Rather, some in the league are actively opposing this expansion, if Brennan's information is correct. The irony hurts. The WNBA has been fighting for more media attention, more fans, and more funding for years. They have it now, but because it's not going as planned, certain people in the league appear intent on undermining their own success. Even Clark has acted with extraordinary poise in this circumstance. I'm just focused on basketball. All I can control is how I play and how I treat people. Everything else is just noise. That level of maturity and focus is impressive for any athlete, let alone a 23-year-old in just her second professional season, in response to questions regarding the investigation and the ongoing scrutiny she faces. Her teammates have been just as encouraging. Instead of feeling overwhelmed by Clark's presence, Aaliyah Boston, the former #1 choice, welcomed her as a teammate. Boston said, "It's disappointing to see. We know how hard Caitlin works, how great she is for our team and the league. Anyone who actually cares about women's basketball should be celebrating what she's bringing to the game." The Chicago coach, Tyler Marsh, also deserves recognition for his efforts in response to the alleged agenda against Clark. He was candid about his experience in Indiana, even though he was the victim of that 35-point thumping. "I didn't hear anything unsuitable from the audience. Nothing offensive or racist in nature. The atmosphere was standard basketball. Loud, fervent, yet deferential." His honesty contrasts sharply with the anonymous sources who promoted the racist narrative on social media following the game. He could have easily remained silent or even encouraged charges against a rival squad. Rather, he spoke the truth, even if it wasn't advantageous to his team. The possible effect on the forthcoming All-Star game in Indianapolis this summer is the most concerning aspect of Brennan's reporting. Her sources claim that because of the unsubstantiated claims made in the Fever Sky game, there have already been talks about perhaps shifting the event.